Stay calm and don't lose your self-control. Harvard University did a study that included 1,000 people from the age of birth till they were 32. And this study was based on what made certain people successful. What common characteristics and traits were seen in this study for people that ended up being successful? It wasn't their race, it wasn't the language they spoke, or what neighborhood they grew up in, and it wasn't the fact that they might have grown up with money. It even wasn't due to the fact that they might have done well on standardized tests or their IQ was great. The one key factor was self-control. Those who had good careers, were financially stable, were in loving relationships, had good physical health, were the ones that could focus, regulate their emotions, and pay attention. Self-control. Now, these are the ones that practiced mindfulness. This is a subject that is an amazing subject to discuss. It doesn't matter if I give you a brand new shiny iPad or a brand new, the best computer on the line, or I even have Stephen Hawkings training you or teaching you. If you don't pay attention, you're never going to succeed. Mindfulness is the foundation for all other learning, for all the success you will have throughout your life. So I ask you why, if this is the single most important aspect of becoming successful in life, why didn't they teach you this in school? Or why don't they teach it to kids today? This is a huge question. That's what we're going to be talking about today, and that's why it's so important. This mindfulness idea. We're going to dive into that today. We have a 2-part series. This is part 1. I want to really get into this and how we can use it to help us in our everyday struggle. First, let's look at the dictionary's definition of what mindfulness is. A mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. Well, that's just a definition in the dictionary. So mindfulness exercises are designed to train your mind or your brain to focus its attention on something important. Mindfulness is grounded in 30 years of study and research. Most universities teach this. Most universities have a program on mindfulness. In fact, Oxford has a master's degree you can get in mindfulness. Now, this mindfulness is not a religion. It's not some hippie degree. It's not some hippie idea. It's not some kind of thinking that somebody came up with in their backyard. There is real science behind it, and it is very effective and it works. And the ability to focus on one thing and accomplish one goal is very, very difficult for us normally. For an extended period of time, it's just something that is very hard to do. And it requires practice. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it requires practice. Everybody knows what I'm talking about here. In fact, if you're sitting in your classroom, you pretty much heard the teacher say something about the quiz and some of the things that are going to be on the quiz, right? But you met a girl on the weekend and you have your phone and you're thinking, oh, is she going to text me? She's really pretty. I hope she texts me back. You're hoping that you sounded cool and that she doesn't want to never talk to you again. And then you think, well, maybe it was the opposite, and you start to get depressed and you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then a breeze blows through the window and you smell something. You're just like, whoa, what's that? Oh, this perfume. Oh, and notice another girl in the room. You're like, has she been in this class the whole time? And then you start thinking, did I put on deodorant today? Do I smell good? Oh my goodness, what's going on here? So you can see how all of these distractions can weigh on your mind. And how, if you don't practice mindfulness, these are the things that go through your head normally. Because after all of this, the bell rings, you miss the class, you're not sure what is going to be on the test, and all of that goes through your mind, part of it. The ability to turn your attention to the class and to focus on something that frankly might not be that interesting, like, for example, algebra, that's a skill that needs practice. You have to practice to do. Mindfulness is how we get there. Some people say, well, I don't need to practice mindfulness. I got this. In reality, that's kind of strange because I'm sure LeBron James doesn't say that about practicing. He already knows basketball, right? But he still practices every day. He practices mindfulness. Now, I'm going to read this because this is so important. Mindfulness isn't just about the ability to focus or pay attention. It's also able to feel emotions like pain, anger, frustration, anxiety, and fear, and not react to them. That's how important this is. This is something that is going to develop you even further. It's going to make you 10 times better than you are now. Mindfulness gives us space between our emotions and our reactions so that we can actually think first. Sometimes we forget that our emotions are ever changing, that joy and pain come like an ocean of waves, one way or another. Mindfulness allows us to surf those waves rather than drown. And sometimes we forget that we're not the only ones feeling pain. Look around, think about someone you know or you don't know. They all have experienced pain. Every single one of us has experienced pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering, well, now that's a choice. Now, next time we have this mindfulness discussion, we're in part 2. We're going to talk about choice and what choice can do for us. So thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate you very much. We're looking forward to our next video. Don't forget to check the links below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.